everyone. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo, and welcome to OSDIA Facebook Live Season 2. We're so excited to be back with you every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. to bring you the best of Italian American culture. Joining us here today is my esteemed co-host, Clarissa Burt. Hi, Clarissa.
Hey, Lisa. Hi, everybody.
We have Justin Smith from the National Office moderating today.
Hey, guys.
And our guest of honor is Deana Martin, a very talented singer and actress in her own right, but she obviously has the help from very robust genes. She is the daughter of Italian legend Deana Martin. Deana, how are you?
I am excellent. It's great to talk to you. Anything Italian is great with me.
Well, your family is synonymous with Italian American culture.
Yes, I know. And I'm very proud to be an American, an Italian American. Okay. Yeah. No, it's great to be here with you. Can't wait to see what you have to say and what I have to say. I never know what's coming out of my mouth.
Well, listen, this show was kind of born because, and we were talking about this offline, we were all in lockdown and we were figuring out how can we reach our audience, and that's how this show was born during COVID. So COVID wasn't all bad. So before Clarissa takes it away with the questions, I want to know, and so does everyone else, how have you been spending this time since March?
I have been spending the time at home working on my Facebook Live show.
Oh.
I do it every Friday afternoon, and last Friday, just this last few days ago, was my 25th show. So I'm right now we're writing shows for, I guess it's going to be 9/11 actually will be Friday. And so picking out new songs, learning new songs, and just writing the show. And it takes up a lot of time to write a show and get new arrangements and learn the songs. And so that's what we've been doing. And, trying to just stay healthy and positive. And, actually now we're having breakfast, lunch, and dinner here at home. Usually we're on the road. For the past 20 years, I've been on the road for about 280 days out of the year. So this was quite something. And, to be stuck here and to try to figure out what to do. And I had to cancel all my shows. They were all postponed and canceled. So we were trying to figure out how can I give back to the people that were coming to my shows that they got canceled. And my assistant Rosario said, let's do Facebook Live. I said, what is that? and here we are, 25 weeks later. We've had over 10 million views. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
That is amazing. It's a cool way to reach your audience. I mean, I know seeing them live and in person, that there's no better feeling.
Right.
But there is something to be said about how technology has brought us all closer together too.
Yeah. It's true. We now have fans and friends from all over the world. It's just absolutely remarkable for me. I've got my Koji-san in Japan. I've got people all over, watch parties, in Scotland and England and Italy, of course, and you name, and all over the United States too. But it's been remarkable. But that's how I've been spending my time. And just like you, I wanted to keep in touch with all of our fans and friends, and it's been remarkable. And thank you for inviting me for today.
Oh, it's our honor. It's our honor. Clarissa, I know you have a lot of questions.
You have no idea. Well, first of all, I wanted to say, we have a pre-show. Everybody should know we have a pre-show that we have. It's kind of like a get to know, so that before we go live, we all know each other fairly well. And so I sat back for the half hour and just kind of listened to all of the amazing stories that Deana was coming up with. But one of the things I think that really hit me, you will notice that I am probably the only one that was on the pre-show or this show that doesn't have an Italian last name. That's because I am not Italian. But I did live in Italy for 30 years. So I met Sinatra, I met Tony Lowe, I met Sophia Loren. I mean, I've met them all as you were talking about them all. My 30 years of my also working in entertainment and on the stage led me to be able to meet some of the most incredible people, especially obviously Italians on the planet. So with that having been said, you are really an entertainment entrepreneur, if you will. Because there's very little in the realm of entertainment that you haven't done or don't know how to do. And I think one of your quotes says, I love entertaining people. It's what I was born to do. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And it's definitely in my DNA.
Right.
That is there.
Absolutely.
You know, and so many of the Facebook messages that I get from this, from my show on Fridays, is that people say, you know, you're just like your dad. You know, the acorn didn't fall far from the tree, and you know, keep up the good work. And so it's been very, very positive for me and for Dean Martin. For heaven's sakes, he was just unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think really one of the great things about the Facebook Lives, which I did watch, by the way, and they're phenomenal. Really everybody should be following. Is that I think from here moving forward, when we finally can all get back in the same room together, there's, you know, the joy of being live on a live stage in front of live people. And then I think that the whole Zoom kind of way of doing things, Deana, is just going to continue on all the same. So I think we were, you know, kind of embarking on the best of both worlds when it comes to entertainment, and certainly for someone like yourself. I did want to talk about your latest album, Swing Street. Can you give us a little bit of a taste of what we can expect there?
Swing Street. I mean, it was such a joy to be to record at Capitol Studios, where my dad, you know, recorded all of his, and everybody, you know, recorded there. But when I think it was 9 years old, 9 or 10, maybe even younger, my mom took me to Capitol Studios to watch my dad recording Memories Are Made of This in Studio A at Capitol Records. I remember walking down that hallway into Studio A, seeing all the photographs along the wall. It was Peggy Lee, Bobby Darin, Nat King Cole. The Beach Boys weren't on that when I was walking down when I was 9 years old. But I sat there in Studio A with these incredible musicians in front of me, my dad on a podium, and I sat there in a little, you know, like the chair was just, it was horrible, and my feet couldn't even touch the ground. And, you know, my mom put her arm around me, she said, everything's gonna be great. And then all of a sudden, my father started singing Memories Are Made of This, and he had 3 backup singers called the Easy Riders, and they sang, he sounded so beautiful, and all the musicians just loved Dad because he would make jokes. And then the producer said, all right, Dean, I think we have a hit. And it was his first #1 hit. And I was there. And It was called Memories Are Made of This. Dean, you know, Memories Are Made of This. That's why I named my book, Memories Are Made of This, Dean Martin Through His Daughter's Eyes. But to go back there, and I've done, you know, a lot of recordings there, and, you know, through the years. But there's Nat King Cole's piano. There's my father's microphone. And everything, you know, everything looks kind of the same from when I was a little girl. And so I was able to sing, and I had Patrick Williams, who was he was the most incredible arranger, conductor, and he did so much, and all of the people. I even had Al Schmidt, who was the engineer, and he's the one who ran the boards. He's also the engineer that did, let me see, Unforgettable with Natalie Cole and Nat King Cole.
Oh, yeah.
He put those albums together. And he also did My True Love, my duet with my dad. And, you know, standing in that, oh my God, in Studio A, holding, you know,
Crazy.
the handwritten. Oh, I know.
Amazing.
Is that beautiful? It was a Nelson Riddle arrangement. I mean, it was just fantastic. So then to be, you know, going back and then picking out the songs for Swing Street, having all these fabulous writers submit things to me. Gail Cantor, who used to be one of the Heartlets, who was with, you know, Bette Midler. And she's the one who wrote 52nd and Broadway. Right. So it's all of these songs. I even do Tennessee Whiskey because I love that song.
Well, you've got Billy Joel's New York State of Mind and Hoagie Carmichael's Georgia on my mind.
Oh, that's, yeah. I got a lot on my mind now. You know, so the songs and the arrangements and the musicians, to be there with all the people that had played with my dad, it was just, you know, just remarkable.
Yeah.
Just, you know, I get goosebumps when I think about doing that. It was just, you know, spectacular.
So your book, Memories Are Made of This, that Dean Martin Through His Daughter's Eyes. There are a million questions that come to mind.
Right.
So cathartic, what the emotions that you went through, can you sort of go down that path with us a minute, this kind of emotions?
Yes, well, it was, you know, quite something, because we had talked about it in the pre-show that we have a, you know, Dean Martin Day. It's a legal holiday. I mean, well, not a legal holiday. Banks aren't closed, but it's Dean Martin Day, June 7th in Steubenville, Ohio, and all of Ohio. And we would go back there. My handsome husband, John, and I would go to Steubenville every year for the Dean Martin Festival. And we'd usually be around June 7th, which was his birthday. And we would go for year after year, and I met all of his friends, you know, the people who were still there, and they would tell me stories, and everybody said, well, you know what, I think, you know, that you should write a book about your dad. And I said, well, you know what, I've been thinking about that, and I would like to do that. And my handsome husband, John, said, well, you know what, we should take everybody in town to the restaurant, we'll sit down, we'll have lunch, and then we'll videotape everybody, and they can tell you stories so that, you know, because I mean, I've got my little steno pads, you know, and I'm writing. I didn't even know that I could use my little tape recorder to tape these people. So I'm making notes, and I have them all on tape, and they would tell me stories, and I'm going, oh my gosh, he did that? He would sleep in the Steubenville bakery at night when he was too late to go home, you know, so learning things that he would never tell me. Right. And, you know, from his friends and interviewing people, it was quite remarkable. And when I came back and I called I called Jerry Lewis's wife. Well, I love Sam and Patty. And, you know, so I spoke to everybody, and I had a little pad for all the stories that they would tell me. And I sat down at our dining room table in Beverly Hills, and I started writing, you know, starting at day one, and just, you know, thinking of memories. And, you know, because in my life, it's been, it's just like in everybody's life. It can be very, very difficult and everything. You know, my parents were divorced when I was very young. In fact, they got divorced before I was born, but that's okay. You know, the night I was born, that's
just a detail.
That's, you know, what that. In fact, the night I was born in New York at 4061st Street. So it's Park and 61st. And my dad was in Los Angeles with Jerry Lewis. They were opening at Slapsy Maxie's on the night that I was born. And so I didn't meet either of them until, you know, a month later, but not that I remember. But, you know, I've known Jerry Lewis all my life, literally
so
all
Lisa,
my life.
I wanted to get with them a second, because you know how between families and maybe East Coast, West Coast, it's either gravy or sauce. You know, sauce or gravy. Well, I wanted to start a poll maybe with our listeners to understand, because we were talking about this pre-show. Do you do your pasta fazool with the red beans or the white beans?
White beans. That's funny. That's funny, because I've had more arguments about red sauce, or is it gravy or is it sauce? No, gravy is for turkey on Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Go to the market, you see tomato sauce.
That's right. But the beans, the red, the white.
You have to use white. And I had this argument with Sophia Loren. Now you know Sophia, because we were doing a show in where were we? Washington D.C. And then we ended up in the same VIP lounge as we were going back to Hollywood or whatever. And we're talking, and Sophia Loren invited my husband and I to her house in Malibu for dinner. So he said, that's great. And so we're just sitting, passing time. And I said, do you make pasta fagioli? She said, of course. I said, red beans or white? She said, red. I went, no. No, Sophia. And John's looking. And then I said, do you use garlic? She said, of course. I said, no garlic. Garlic in pasta fagioli, no. And then I said, and this was like the worst thing. I said, and tomatoes? Do you put? She said, oh yes, I put tomatoes. And I'm thinking, she's not making pasta fagioli.
That's minestrone.
Making minestrone. So that's a minestrone.
Before I pass it off to Justin for some questions, I wanted to know: are you going to share Grandma Angela's secret ingredient?
Yes, actually, and it's in my book. It's in the last page of my book. The whole recipe is there, and it's easy to remember. But it's cinnamon. Okay, so you don't have to. You know, you can go into DeanaMartin.com and you could order my book. You know, that's great, and it's Deana Martin.com. I don't know why people put two N's in it. You know, it's just Dean with an N.
Two N's. That's interesting. Yeah, it's just Dean with an N at the end. That's easy.
Because then it would be Deana.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they go to your website, Deana, then you'll
autograph it.
Okay, great. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll get it right out. Yeah.
I'm actually that's gonna be the first thing I do when I log off Zoom. Just because, I think I want to hear in your book, and you could give us a little preview right now. I mean, you grew up with an Uncle Frank Sinatra. I'm from New Jersey. Like, Frank Sinatra is legitimately a saint here, right?
Yeah. Oh, you kidding?
No, Uncle Frank Sinatra, Uncle Sammy Davis Jr. You had like Elvis over. Like, I can't even imagine my childhood being like that.
It was unbelievable. Going to school with Lucy Jr. and Desi Jr. So I mean, it was, and Tony Thomas, Danny Thomas's son. But it was an incredible life that I had, and it's all in the book because there's ups and downs and everything. But Uncle Frank was, one of my pallies because he used to call me the social butterfly because he'd be over at the house and I'd run in, hi, Uncle Frank, kiss him, and then off I'd go because I was always busy. I was doing something. And I remember
too busy for Frank.
I was too busy for Uncle. I was too busy for Frank. He was so funny though, and in fact, you reminded me of, I was doing, it was the Dean Martin Christmas show, and it was the Martins and the Sinatras together for the Christmas show. And we were going to do a song. It was Tina Sinatra and Frank Sinatra, my dad and myself. And we were going to sing, Doe, a deer, a female deer. So we're all there together. And that was for the rehearsal. So before the show, I'm standing in the wings with Uncle Frank. I look up, I said, so how do you do it? How do you get that great tone? How do you sing? He said, oh, Deana, it's all about the air. He said, I take in a big breath, I push from the diaphragm, and I can tell even before a note comes out if I'm going to be on pitch or not. I said, really? Does my dad do that? He says, no, your father has no idea what he's doing. He just does it. He's a natural. And, and so
it worked.
It worked. My dad was a natural. And,
Justin, we got some questions down here, Justin.
He worked on everything. I'm sorry?
We've got some questions from Justin.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I want to say that it's not surprising that your reach is far and wide. We're getting many hellos and greetings from all over the world. We've gotten Tunisia, different parts of Italy, Sicily, and then of course all across the US, East Coast to West Coast. So not surprising that your reach is so far and wide. The first question that came through as you were talking about your favorite pasta fagioli. Do you have a favorite recipe that you make besides pasta fagioli? And this, another Ohio tie, our contingency in Cincinnati wants to know this.
Absolutely, and my mother taught me how to make this, and so it's meatloaf. And the secret ingredient in the meatloaf is Lipton onion soup mix. But you have your beef, you have an egg, you take white bread and you shred it up, put it in a little ketchup, then then the egg, and then you take your hands and you push it all together, right, with your little fingers and everything. And there's other things that go into it. But I make that all the time. And I remember, when I was just a little girl and I would make it and I go, ew. And she said, no, come on, get in there. You can wash your hands. And that's the way, so keep it light. And so definitely the onion soup mix is the secret ingredient in my meatloaf. And I make it with beef and I make it with turkey sometimes if I want to be a little, of course that's drier, but beef is better.
Yeah, of course. Well, there we go, people. There's a Martin family trick, the onion mix in the meatloaf.
That's right.
Well, we also have another question coming through, and obviously, your family is generational and as far as being stars. And is there anyone in the next generation or the following generation that's going to follow in the footsteps?
Let's see. To be as good as those guys, there's a lot of young actors and people who are fabulous. And in fact, I'm looking right now for someone who could play Dean Martin because we're making my book into a movie.
Oh, congratulations!
Yes, thank you.
That's fantastic.
But it was all put on hold because we're all put on hold, right now. But any suggestions that people would have, that would be great. And in fact, I asked this question, a couple maybe 2 weeks ago, and I had Harry Connick Jr., Michael Bublé, Hugh Jackman, Dean Cain. I go, wow. So a lot of people, they've been, sending in names, but I'm thinking I want maybe an unknown who's just fabulous, who's got it. I don't want an impersonator. I want a good actor, someone who can sing, who can move, who is funny, because there was something about Dean Martin that I've never met, I've never seen in anybody else. Joe Mantegna played a good Dean Martin in that movie that they did, very respectful and everything. And so he's probably going to be involved, of course, in the movie. But You know, as far as, you know, there are good actors now, and I'm stumped right now. I think you've got me for that one.
Well, who do you want to play you?
Ah, well, let's see. Who do I want to be? You know who I love, who's a very good actress and looks like me, is Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yes, I can totally see
Yes,
that. Yeah.
she's fabulous. And in fact, she came to one of my shows at Feinstein's in New York, right there when we were able to go out and do shows. And she was in the audience, and I didn't know she was in the audience. And I mentioned, because someone asked me a question, they said, you know, your book is fabulous, just came out, and are you going to make a movie? Who would you like to play? You know, who do you want to play you in the movie? And I said, well, I would love Jennifer Love Hewitt, because she had, you know, the TV shows on right then. I think she's fabulous. She's a good actress, and she looks like me. We're kind of like the same height. And then all of a sudden I hear, well, I'm here. I went, what? And she was there with her mother, you know, at the show, because she had read the book and she loved the book. And so she was there, and I thought, this is like a setup. My husband didn't do it. It wasn't set up. It was not me. And so now, you know, I can complain. And I say, well, you know, I'd love to have Jennifer Love Hewitt play me, because apparently I'm too old to play myself, my movie. And then people laugh, you know, but you know, Jennifer is fabulous. So
Yeah.
I think that could work.
I've got another question, and it was a
Okay.
pre-show, and it was somebody had asked you before what it means to you to be Italian, and you started to elaborate on the family and the neighborhood and the feelings and the emotions. And I thought maybe we could close out the show with you kind of just giving everybody an idea of what being Italian means to you.
I just got chills. You know, being Italian is just, you know, it is me. It's in my DNA, and this is it. And my whole family. And just imagine, you know, being Dean Martin's daughter, Dino Crossetti's daughter, just phenomenal, because he was very Italian. And I remember he said one time, if you're not Italian, you wouldn't understand what I'm saying. He says, you just won't get it. And I get that when he says it. But when he grew up, you know, growing up in Steubenville, Ohio, it was a close-knit neighborhood. And my grandmother was a seamstress. She would alter everybody's clothes. Maybe it was, you know, one kid's little brother would inherit the little suit, and she would, you know, she would tailor it for him. And that's why I think that my dad, everything is always so tailored. Everything, it's all about the fit. There's something about Italians, you know, how they look and how they dress. I mean, you know, just perfection. And my grandmother would make clothes for me, and you know, and my sisters. And so we always looked just perfect. So she gave me that sense of style, and the cooking. And she taught me how to make the pasta visual. And, you know, Sundays, and she would come over to our house in Beverly Hills, and I would watch her make gnocchi, you know, and she would make sheets of them. You know, I go, what the heck? You know, I mean, it was unbelievable.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of, and, you know, there's a lot of kids, you know, so there's, you know, 8 of us, 9, 10 of us. And that was just family sitting around the dinner table at night with my dad and my mom and my brothers and sisters and my grandmother and my grandfather, Pop. He talked like this, and he was just so, he looked exactly like my dad, only a lot smaller. Exactly. And he was always tailored, and it was just beautiful. And he would always call my dad Dino. And I remember, and he would come to the show, the Dean Martin show, which was fantastic. And he would sit there and watch, you know, his son, Dino Crossetti, entertain everybody singing That's Amore, and everybody loves somebody. And I remember one show, my grandfather just got up in the middle of the show, walked over, kissed my dad. Well, he's sitting there singing, and he says, I gotta go home, Dino. I'll see you later. And then he walks off, and my dad, you know, just stops, looking at the camera, and says, that's my father, everybody. Okay, I'll see you later. And then he went on with his show. But it was the family, it's everybody being together. Dinner was loud, the kitchen was loud, laughing and having fun, and playing games. And just, it was just a remarkable, close-knit, I mean, that was all so beautiful. And then of course things happen where, you know, divorces happen and people come and go. But it's all about, this is life. And I have to say, because of my parents and my brothers and sisters, because of a, you know, a loving family, we learned everything the right way. There was manners. You did not talk back to your parents. You did never do that. You know, I would go over to my girlfriend's house. Maybe she said, get out of here, to her mother. I go, oh my God, you can't do that. Can't do that. But my dad was, strict. How strict was he? You'd have to go into the den. I'd go into the den, scared to death. Oh, Dad's upset. Gotta go in the den. And then he'd walk in the den, close the door, and the tears would start to come down. He'd go, now look, tell your mother I was really hard on you. I'll never do that again. Okay. I was never late for dinner again, to this day, because you can't be late for dinner anymore. Okay.
Lisa, any last minute questions, Lisa?
Well, I feel like what you're talking about is all of our families, right? I mean, your grandparents immigrated. What part of Italy did they immigrate from?
Abruzzi, so Montalcivano, Pescara, right on the Adriatic. Yeah.
So, I mean, you're talking about all of our grandparents, right? And that upbringing, that modest upbringing. And I think that's why you're so down to earth and you're such a success. And I think it was that Italian culture. I don't think the Hollywood families of today are doing the same thing.
I don't think so. No.
No one's making gnocchi like on the dining room table.
No, they are not. I don't think so. And but it's the respect that you had to have for your parents, and there was respect, and for everything that you did. Treat people the way you want to be treated. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Those were words from my dad, and that was him.
Any questions over there? We're about ready to wrap up, I know.
We just had one last comment that I couldn't not mention, and it's from a gentleman named Dennis Flamini. And he just has a memory of your father. I guess he knew your father, and he said he'd like to eat Italian hoagies with him in Atlantic City. So I just thought that was a great memory, and I wanted to share that.
Well, thank you for saying hoagie, by the way. I'm a Philadelphia girl.
Yeah, I don't know what a hoagie is.
Thank you for saying hoagie and not,
I don't know what that is, so you have to explain to me.
A grinder.
Thank you for saying hoagie. I'm a Philly girl. You're welcome. Thank you.
That's so
sweet.
sweet.
All right, everybody. Justin, how are we doing on time? I think we're just at our half hour now.
We're just about there. I think Lisa Marie is going to close us out.
Thank you.
Yes.
Everybody.
So if people are watching, and I see in the comments, people are interested in learning how to join Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America, like us on Facebook, follow us on various social media sites, and learn how to become a member today. We are a national organization and very prideful, very active in the community, and it's a great community to belong to, and we all hope to see you.
Ok, ragazzi, chiudiamo in bellezza allora.
Oh, very nice.
Well, thank you guys very much.
Deana, this has been a pleasure. Thank you. You're so
Thank
great.
you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's
I'll be
been
watching
awesome.
next week. Excuse me, but thank you so much. Thank you, Justin, and everyone.
It's been a pleasure.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao. Thank you.
Ciao a tutti. Ciao, ciao.